Welcome everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I am going to catch you up on my folio and what I have done to it so far. But first I want to apologize for my last video. There was this gap and I have no idea how that happened. I mean, I'm sure it was something I did on my end, but I don't know. So I've gone back and I've cut out as much as I can of it. It didn't allow me to cut out the last few seconds, but I got most of it done. And I don't know. I'm going to have to really figure that one out. So what I've done on here so far on this flip, and I'm still not putting it into the folio yet, is that I created a tag for inside here. Now I did kind of want to point out something about this tag, and that is, you don't always have to get like a vintage book or anything like that. I found this book that it was like a cookbook actually, and it was it focused on, I think, the country, I think on Wales in the UK is what it focused on, and it had different recipes in there, but it had all of these old photographs, and I guess it was sort of talking about the local culture and things like that through history, and it was awesome. So I, picked it up for what, $1 at thrift store or whatever, and I took out and saved all of the photographs in there because they have this really T.Holtz quality to them, and I kind of like it that they're not, when you take old photos and you blow them up, they get a little on the blurry side, so I liked that look. So I have saved that out, and what I ended up doing, so cute, what I ended up doing was I made a tag here for this to show out of this lady selling her vegetables there. And then up here, I'll list down below a digital that had a whole bunch of, she has different, I've sized them down, they come larger than this, but all these old, photographs from way back then, and they're just kind of fun, a little variety of things, and I'll put a link down below for that. But I went ahead and made a little frame, put a little bit of acrylic behind it there, and made a little tag for right there. So just wanted to tell you about, when you look for books, sometimes just look for old photographs that were in modern books. I mean, it was published recently or whatever. Anyhow, so then we flip open, I put in the T.Holtz pocket die cut here, and I have all of these little things. I think I've showed you that one before, and of course the notepad is in here. So now we're going to be working on the base here, the first base section, and I've decided to put in a flip here, and I cut this, a little bit more narrow than the, I think in all almost an inch narrower than the base it is, and I sewed around it for decorative purposes, of course, and I put a fold in here, and this is T.Holtz paper, or actually it's kind of a cardstock, and this should be at least a cardstock. It should be a heavyweight piece, of course, and I'm going to be putting it down in here as a flip, and then on the base itself, I'm going to put in these pockets here. And on the back side of the flip up, I am going to be putting a pocket out of paper. Now this will be out of a lightweight paper. I'm putting in a tall pocket here in the back that will have a tall tag to it. So I will show you how I go about doing that. And then one more thing is that the very base of it, I put in a tie, because this part here, I want it to come over and hold down this flip out, and go around this little button up here. So that's something that I've done to help this to go down. Now you might even choose to put magnet there, which you probably should do before you put these two together, these two pieces together. You could have slipped a magnet in there, but I don't know. I kind of like the button and tie closures. So I taped it there so I don't forget to put that in there. And then eventually, you know, I'll cover up that side of it. I'm going to be doing the same method for the flip down. So this flip down will come down like so, and the pocket, one of the pockets will be in the bottom, and I'm going to be putting the button on the flip, and I want the string to come up on the other side of this pocket. So to make sure I don't forget that, I am going to go ahead and put that in right away because it's something that I would forget quite easily. And I'm just going to lay that in there, and I'm going to get some tape. And taping that back in here in the middle. All right, this might be a little bigger than I need. This tape is called is craft tape, and I think it's like the kind of tape they put behind, like on photographs, or not photographs, but like pictures when they frame them. Kind of tape it in inside the frame. So there we go. So then that is going to be, and I do need to cover that little guy there so that's all totally flat, you know, because you don't want your ephemera to get caught up on it. So I do need to get that taped down so the ephemera will slide fairly easy. Get that smoothed out. There we go. Cool. So this will be on the bottom like that. Another thing you could do is you could put an eyelet in. You know what? I like that idea. I just thought of that just now. Putting an eyelet here and stringing this up. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes this crafting on the go kind of puts some ideas in my head. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I won't take up your time though. All right, I put in the little eyelet, a little tiny eyelet, so cute. And I'm still going to go ahead and tape that up because we still want our ephemera to slide, you know, fairly well. And the tape doesn't show, you know, I mean, you can use masking tape, probably blend just fine. I also put an eyelet in the pocket that's going to go above it, so it just becomes like a decorative element. You know, we're not going to put any string through it, but I think it's kind of cute, kind of makes them match a little bit. So I've got this particular part done. Now we're going to work on the pocket that goes on the underside of the flap. And I cut a piece of paper, and I'm using just regular paper. This is not cardstock. You probably could use cardstock for sure, but this is not needful for what this is going to be. And I cut the piece. Oh, and I also I glued some washi tape there on that seam, on that fold, so that it has some good wear on there. So I just cut a piece that is about 1/4 of an inch all the way around, larger than this flip up flap. And now I'm going to put some score lines in there. The first one is going to have about 3/8 of an inch, well, maybe 1/2 inch. We can put like a 1/2 inch score line right here. And then we'll put another 1/2 inch score line on this side, and a 1/2 inch score line on this side. So 3 sides have like a 1/2 inch score line. Double checking that to make sure it is within the confines of that. Yeah. So yeah, you want it to be just a little bit more narrow than your flap. So let's get of that burnished there. And we will also need to, or I mean, I don't know, need, maybe not so much need, but I think it makes it lay a little bit better if you went in and just mitered those corners a little bit. So I'm not cutting right at that corner fold, but getting very close to it. And I'm also going to miter down this part of it. And let's see, so this is going to be the pocket that goes on the flip up. Now this is where you're going to need to think. This is where I'm going to need to think, because I can forget this so easy. So this is flipping up this way, and therefore the top of the card to put the tag in needs to be here. Right, so that when you put it down, it's upside down, and then it's right side up. Now this is a little bit longer, and that's good, because now I'm going to fold this down, and I'll mark here. I always like to have plenty of paper left over so that I don't come short, and I think I want this to come down right about like that. And I'm going to mark where I want this to fold down. So I want this to leave, probably I'm leaving almost an inch from the very, very top there. And I'm going to put a score piece. I didn't have to miter those corners, actually. I'm going to put a score right across there and make a fold. Now what this is going to do, this fold, is going to help to reinforce that paper. Now if you are using the T.Holtz scrapbook paper, whatever, this probably would not be necessary. But with the paper, I do like the fact that that's a little bit more on there. And I'm going to miter, let's see, how am I going to do this now? Oh yeah, miter the corners. So I'm going to come in and then cut straight, well, not almost straight, like so. So I'm mitering just a little bit along that fold, and then mitering down there. And this way, there's just a little less bulk in that area. So this is going to get glued down all the way. Like this. And it is ready to put in a thumb notch if you would like to do that, or you don't have to. And then we will ink around it. Now if you wanted to sew, you could open it up and sew around that. I'm not going to do it on this particular piece. Okay. And what will happen is you're going to glue this. Okay, this is your flap. It's going to flip up, and then you're going to glue this down right inside, like so. And when you glue, should I put a thumb notch on there or not? Nope, I'm not going to. So when you glue this in, you want the bottom flap to go over the outside flaps. And this way your ephemera has less chance of catching onto this, because if you did it this way and you slid something in, it would, possibility of catching that is just, stronger. So putting it on the outside is always a great way to avoid that. And I'm going to just kind of glue that down ahead of time so it stays on the outside. And then when I glue this in, I'm going to want to make sure that I'm pretty close to the edge of the flap, or all the edges of the flap. Just doing all that. Okay. right. Oh, yes, I do. We'll just put that down inside there, leaving a little bit up here for the tag to stick out. And now for the bottom, we're putting in this pocket here. Oh, and you know what? I forgot the, I forgot the button there. Okay, it's okay. I got excited about the eyelets and I got off track, but it's okay because we can put the button in there. It's not that critical. So I now have my button, and I aligned up the pocket down here with my flap, and I've glued this in. And now we will put in the button, which would have been so much easier had I thought about it before I glued on the pocket, but it's not impossible. It still is something you can do. And that's what crafting on the go kind of looks like. There's usually some way to get done what you want to do, even though things may not go super smoothly. So it's about 1.5 inches from there. And let me get to my middle. Get to my middle there. So this is how I'm rectifying this problem, in case you're interested. So there's the middle, is right about there, and I'm going to go in 1.5 inches. And I'm taking a peek as to where that's at, and I'm taking my awl and putting my mark in that place right there, and I'm going to be putting in a hole right there. Okay. As long as you got some kind of a way to make a hole, and you don't need, you know, for a little brad like that, you don't really need a long reach or anything. This is plenty. And we'll put this inside with a little bit of fiddling around, just a little bit. And I know it's really hard to see in there, but there we go. Okay, so that needs to be taped over because we certainly don't want our ephemera to get caught on that. So I'm going to cut me a piece of tape like this. Going to go in. Now this craft tape is pretty easy to work with, but it's very sticky. So we'll just sort of slip it in there. Make sure we get down below the pocket area. There we go. Got that down in there. And I think all I did was lift it up a little bit on the edge, but not too bad, just a little. So that's been completed. And I will now glue this little guy onto here, and we will call it quits for this project. And so the time has come to finally glue this part in, and I can work on this later on. I don't need to have it out away from the base to do that. I'm going to be using my fabric tack, and one of the big reasons I'm using fabric tack is it kind of gives you some wiggle room. It does dry fast, but it doesn't dry immediately. Like glitter glue, the grip is almost immediate, and it's hard to adjust once it sets. Although glitter glue on cloth is not quite as quick as it is with paper. But anywho, there we go. Now I'm going to make sure that I allow from the crease right here about 1/8 of an inch from the edge of that paper there. Okay. That's pretty good. It's about where I need to be. Yep, it needs to dry now. So I don't want to be folding it back until it dries all the way. And I'll put a little bit more glue right along the edge. Probably doesn't need it quite as much, but I guess it's all pretty well. Okay, pretty well down. Now we're ready to glue this base in. Oh, good. That's in there nicely. And now it just has to dry. And, oops, don't want to do that. I need to let that dry. And so now that area is all done, and we can next time move on to the back part of this and these two sides. I have some ideas for these, and yeah, we'll come back and probably finish up with those. So thanks a lot for viewing, and I hope that if you're doing this project, you're having fun with it, and that some of my ideas can help give you a jump start in planning for your own and avoiding some of the mistakes I've made, or not really mistakes, but just making it a little smoother for yourself once you know some of the things I could have done differently. And we will be talking to you real soon. Bye.